If you're tired after breakfast, struggling to keep your blood sugar in check, or worried about diabetes, this could be the episode that changes everything. There's a common breakfast food approved by most doctors and served in almost every senior home that's silently damaging your metabolism meal after meal. We'll reveal exactly what it is, the new science that explains why, and the 3-step breakfast fix proven to stabilize your energy for years to come. But before we name the culprit, let me take you into my own kitchen just a few weeks ago. It was a typical morning, bright sun, the news humming in the background, and I did what I thought was right. I poured myself a big bowl of what's always been called a healthy breakfast, no added sugar, low-fat milk, even a sliced banana. I finished, felt satisfied, and went about my day. But by 10 a.m., my eyes were heavy, my mind was foggy, and honestly, I was hungry again, crankier than I'd like to admit. It felt like a personal failure. Wasn't I supposed to feel good after a healthy meal? Dr. Harper, am I alone in this, or is this something you hear from seniors every day?
Susan, you are absolutely not alone. In fact, I'd say 9 out of 10 seniors I see tell a version of that story. What's so surprising and honestly frustrating for many is that these breakfast routines are actually recommended in hospital diets by dietitians and in senior care facilities across the country. But new research shows that what we thought was a safe start is actually, for a huge percentage of older adults, setting off a chain reaction that lasts all day and raises your risk for diabetes, heart problems, and memory issues down the line. Here's the twist. The food that's doing the damage is so common, so normalized, that most people would never suspect it.
I think I'm getting nervous, and I bet a lot of listeners are suddenly reviewing everything in their fridge and pantry. So, can we talk about what's actually happening in our bodies after breakfast when we eat these foods?
Absolutely. The main issue is something called glycemic load, which is how much and how quickly a food raises your blood sugar. Most common breakfast foods, think instant oatmeal cakes, white toast, low-fat fruit yogurts, and especially boxed cereals, are high in simple, processed carbs. These break down quickly, rushing glucose into your bloodstream. A 2023 Journal of Gerontology study tracked 600 adults over 60 and found that those who ate high glycemic breakfasts had twice the daily blood sugar swings, more fatigue, and worse cognitive performance by the afternoon compared to those who ate more balanced, protein-rich breakfasts. But here's the kicker. When your blood sugar spikes, your body scrambles to produce more insulin. For seniors especially, this overcorrection can leave you with low blood sugar just a few hours later, the crash. That's when you feel tired, jittery, unfocused, or crave another quick snack.
So you're saying the old healthy breakfast, a bowl of cereal with low-fat milk and fruit, could be setting us up for a roller coaster, even if it sounds good on paper?
Exactly. And it gets worse as we age because our bodies aren't as efficient at processing all that glucose and insulin. A 2022 Harvard study found that seniors who started their day with refined carbs had, on average, 30% higher blood sugar by noon, and that higher blood sugar was linked with faster progression to type 2 diabetes, even in people who were normal weight. And Susan, there's another hidden risk. Many healthy breakfast cereals, especially the ones labeled with whole grains or added fiber on the box, are actually loaded with added sugars or rapidly digesting starches. They hit your system just like white bread. That's why so many people crash mid-morning, feel the urge to snack, and end up with higher A1C numbers at their next checkup.
It's so confusing because you walk down the cereal aisle and everything is shouting, heart healthy, good for energy, doctor recommended. It feels like you need a degree just to buy breakfast. But Dr. Harper, can you give us an example, maybe a real patient story of how this plays out in everyday life?
Absolutely. I had a patient, Marjorie, 72, who was following all the old advice: cereal with fruit, sometimes a muffin, always skim milk. She kept her weight steady, but felt exhausted by 11 a.m., couldn't focus on her crossword, and her blood work showed her A1C creeping up. We changed just one thing. We swapped her breakfast for eggs and spinach, or Greek yogurt with a handful of nuts. Within 2 weeks, her mid-morning energy was back, and at her next check, her fasting glucose had dropped by 18 points. And the research backs it up. A 2024 Diabetes Care meta-analysis found that seniors who ate a higher protein, lower carb breakfast improved their insulin sensitivity by 20% in just 3 weeks.
That's an incredible turnaround. And I love that it wasn't some magic bullet, just a shift in what goes on the breakfast table. But I know a lot of listeners are asking, okay, what is the food we need to avoid? What's the real villain here?
I'll name it. Boxed breakfast cereal, hands down, is the biggest culprit, even the ones labeled healthy. And right behind it, instant oatmeal packets, white or wheat toast, and low-fat fruit yogurts. These foods spike your blood sugar, don't keep you full, and kick off a cycle that makes diabetes harder to avoid with every passing year.
Wow, I can almost hear the collective gasp. But Dr. Harper, can you give us a sense of how quickly this can change? Is there hope if you've eaten this way for years?
Absolutely. In a moment, I'll walk you through the 3-step breakfast fix proven to stabilize blood sugar and energy all morning long. And the best part? The changes are simple, affordable, and most people start feeling the difference in less than a week.
That is exactly what we need. Before we get to the fix, can you explain why do so many doctors still recommend these classic breakfasts? Is the science just that new?
Partly, yes. The science is only now catching up to what patients have felt for years, and a lot of nutrition advice is based on studies of younger people, or doesn't account for how aging changes metabolism. Plus, there's big food industry pressure to keep breakfast looking a certain way. But now we know better. A 2023 JAMA Internal Medicine study found that swapping out processed breakfast carbs for protein and healthy fats reduced the risk of developing diabetes by 37% in seniors. And in a moment, I'll share exactly what to put on your plate tomorrow morning for stable energy and better blood sugar. Plus, the one test you can do at home to see if your current breakfast is hurting you.
Don't go anywhere, because what Dr. Harper is about to reveal could honestly change your mornings for the rest of your life. And for me, I'm thinking about every time I blamed myself for feeling tired or moody before lunch. Turns out it might just have been breakfast all along. So, Dr. Harper, you've made the entire country's cereal aisle sound like a minefield, but you promised us hope, and I know our listeners are hanging on every word. What's the breakfast fix? What do we put on our plates if we want steady energy and a shot at preventing diabetes?
Here's where things get exciting, Susan. The 3-step breakfast fix is simple, research-backed, and can be personalized for almost anyone. I always start with this advice, which is supported by some of the largest studies on aging and metabolism in the last 5 years. Step 1. Protein first. Start your breakfast with a source of quality protein. That could be eggs, Greek yogurt, unsweetened, cottage cheese, or even a small portion of nuts and seeds if you're plant-based. A landmark 2023 Lancet Healthy Longevity study followed 2,500 adults over 65 and found those who consumed at least 20 grams of protein at breakfast had 40% lower blood sugar spikes throughout the day.
That is such a huge difference and so easy. I always thought protein was more of a lunch and dinner thing. Are eggs still safe? I know there's always debate about cholesterol.
Great question. For most people, especially seniors, eggs are an excellent breakfast choice. The old cholesterol fear has been debunked for the majority, unless your doctor tells you otherwise. In fact, a 2022 Cleveland Clinic review showed that eating up to 1 egg per day did not increase heart risk in older adults, and actually supported muscle maintenance and better satiety.
That's a relief. I'll confess, after decades of hearing, watch your cholesterol, I still hesitate with eggs. But what if someone's vegetarian or just doesn't like eggs?
No problem. Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, even a smoothie made with a quality protein powder, plant or dairy-based, can work. And for those who want something savory, beans or tofu scramble is a fantastic fiber-rich option. The goal is to get that protein in first, so your blood sugar stays stable and your hunger is satisfied. Step 2. Add healthy fat and fiber. Pair your protein with a little healthy fat, like avocado, olive oil, a few nuts or chia seeds, and a serving of fiber. Think berries, sautéed spinach, or half a small apple. Why? A 2024 Diabetes Spectrum study found that seniors who added fat and fiber to breakfast had slower glucose absorption, fewer sugar spikes, and reported feeling fuller and more alert all morning.
I have to admit, that sounds delicious. I love the idea of building a breakfast that keeps you full instead of reaching for another snack an hour later. But Dr. Harper, what about the classic senior breakfast? Toast, jam, maybe a muffin with coffee. Why do those backfire so badly for our blood sugar?
It's all about how fast those carbs hit your bloodstream. Refined grains and sugars are digested almost instantly, spiking your glucose and setting you up for the crash. Add caffeine and your body goes into alert mode without the steady fuel it needs. I'll give you a real-life example. A patient of mine, Ed, loved his morning toast with jelly and coffee. By 11 a.m., he was shaky and snacking. We switched him to a veggie omelet with half an avocado. 2 weeks later, his energy was steady and his midday cravings disappeared. Even his blood work showed a drop in his fasting glucose.
That's the kind of change everyone wants. I can see listeners nodding along. But some people might say, I just don't have time for a cooked breakfast. What's your go-to quick fix?
I love this question, Susan. For a fast breakfast, Greek yogurt with walnuts and berries, a boiled egg and a piece of fruit, overnight oats made with plain Greek yogurt, chia seeds, and a few almonds. These take less time than pouring cereal, and the payoff is huge.
You make it sound so doable. So step 1 is protein. Step 2 is healthy fat and fiber. What's the third step?
Step 3, test, don't guess. Here's the most powerful tool every senior can use. Check your own blood sugar. You don't need diabetes to benefit. Use an inexpensive glucometer. Check before breakfast, eat your usual meal, check 1 hour and 2 hours later. If your blood sugar rises more than 40 points or isn't back to near baseline at 2 hours, your breakfast needs a tweak. A 2022 Stanford medicine trial found that seniors who adjusted breakfast based on real-time glucose feedback dropped their A1C by 0.7%, a massive result comparable to some medications.
I love that. Test, don't guess. So we have a way to check our body's response in real time, but what if someone's never used a glucometer before? Is it difficult or painful?
Not at all. Modern glucometers are quick and use a tiny drop of blood from your finger. Pharmacies have them, and insurance often covers the cost, especially if you have any risk for diabetes. And you only need to do this for a few days to learn what works best for your body.
That's reassuring. And I have to say, hearing these steps, I realize I've been making breakfast way too complicated and maybe sabotaging myself without knowing. But Dr. Harper, what about healthy cereals? I see so many that say whole grain, high fiber, low sugar. Are any of those safe?
Here's the truth. Most breakfast cereals, even those labeled whole grain, are still highly processed. They hit your blood sugar fast. A 2023 BMJ Nutrition Review analyzed over 200 cereals and found that 78% of senior targeted brands had a glycemic index above 65, meaning they spike blood sugar nearly as much as table sugar. If you're going to have cereal, pick plain old-fashioned oats, not instant. Soak them overnight and pair with nuts or seeds and a bit of protein. But even better, rotate your options and don't rely on cereal as your main breakfast.
That's a wake-up call for a lot of us. And I can't help but wonder, if it's this clear in the research, why isn't every doctor talking about it? Why aren't senior centers changing their menus?
A big part is inertia, old habits, and outdated advice. Plus, food companies lobby hard to keep breakfast cereals on the approved list. But I'm seeing change. Some senior living centers are shifting to more Mediterranean-style breakfasts. Eggs, veggies, yogurt, fruit with nuts. The push is coming from patients, honestly, from people like you asking better questions.
I think that's so important. And for anyone feeling guilty about what they've eaten in the past, this isn't about blame, right? It's about making a new choice starting tomorrow.
Exactly. There's no judgment here, just knowledge and a path forward. And here's a powerful motivator. A new 2024 Aging and Disease study found that seniors who switched to a high-protein, low-carb breakfast for just 2 weeks reported 25% more energy and 18% better mood on average. That's not just numbers. It's your day, your independence, your life.
That's huge. But before we wrap up this segment, I want to ask, some seniors struggle with other health issues, high blood pressure, arthritis, digestive problems. Is this breakfast fix safe for them too?
Great question. In most cases, yes. The protein and healthy fats actually support better blood pressure, steadier mood, and more consistent energy. For anyone with kidney disease or unique medical needs, always check with your doctor. But for most, this is the foundation of better metabolic health and, frankly, better mornings.
And if your doctor doesn't listen, if you feel brushed off, what can you say to make sure your concerns are heard?
You're your own best advocate. Try, "I'd like to talk about my breakfast and how it affects my energy and blood sugar. Can we check my A1C and fasting glucose? I've been tracking my blood sugar at home, and here's what I found. What do you recommend?" Bringing real numbers or a food diary to your visit shifts the conversation. Suddenly, you're a partner in your care, not just a patient.
That's such practical advice. Okay, coming up, Dr. Harper is going to share the most surprising hidden danger at breakfast, something most people never even think about. I have to admit, after hearing about cereals and toast, I'm almost afraid to ask what's left.
I hear you, Susan, and this one surprises almost everyone. It's fruit juice. Orange juice, apple juice, even those little heart-healthy blends. They're marketed as pure, natural, and doctor-approved. But for seniors, just 8 ounces of juice can deliver more sugar and a faster blood sugar spike than a can of soda.
Wait, really? That's shocking. I know so many people who have a small glass with breakfast thinking it's good for vitamin C or energy.
Exactly, and that's the trap. The fiber is gone, so your body absorbs the sugar all at once. A 2023 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that older adults who drank juice at breakfast had a 26% higher risk of developing insulin resistance over 5 years, even when they had a normal weight and ate healthy otherwise. And it gets worse. That quick sugar rush doesn't just affect your blood, it can prime your brain for more cravings later, making it even harder to stick to good choices at lunch or dinner.
I never realized the impact was that serious. And the irony is, I've watched family members skip soda, but still reach for juice, thinking it's a healthy swap. Is there ever a safe way to include juice, or is it better to skip altogether?
The occasional small splash as a flavor boost is fine, but as a daily habit, it's better to eat whole fruit. orange slices, apple chunks, berries. You get the vitamins, the fiber, and a much slower rise in blood sugar. And if you're craving something refreshing, try water with a wedge of lemon or a couple of berries. You get the taste, not the sugar spike.
That's such a simple fix, but it feels like a huge shift for a lot of us. You know, all this talk about change reminds me of my friend Bill. He'd had borderline blood sugar for years, always a little high, as he put it. He didn't want medication, but he loved his routine: cereal, banana, and juice every morning. A few months ago, his doctor finally gave him a real scare. Bill, if we don't get this under control, you're looking at diabetes by the end of the year. That hit him hard. He started testing his blood sugar after breakfast, and those numbers were shocking. Even the healthy days, his levels soared. He called me almost embarrassed and asked, "What do I do?" I sent him an article. Actually, Dr. Harper, it was one of yours. And we walked through the breakfast fix together. Eggs, spinach, a few berries. Some days Greek yogurt with walnuts and half a sliced apple. And the best part? Within a month, his energy was back. The fog was gone. And most important, his blood sugar dropped out of the danger zone. At his last checkup, his doctor was stunned. No meds, no scary lectures, just one change at breakfast.
I love that story, Susan. It's exactly what the research shows. Small, consistent changes can rewrite your whole health story, even after decades of old habits. A 2024 Nutrition and Aging survey found that among seniors who changed just their breakfast, nothing else, 68% reported more stable energy, and 1 in 3 lowered their A1C by at least 0.5% over 6 months. That's not theory, that's real life.
I think that's the message we all need. You can start right where you are with what's on your plate tomorrow morning. Dr. Harper, for seniors who feel overwhelmed or even a little hopeless, maybe they've struggled for years or had doctors who didn't listen, what's your final word?
First, you are not alone. The world is noisy, the advice is confusing, and old habits are hard to break, but you are never stuck. Start with just one thing. Swap the cereal for an egg, the toast for yogurt, the juice for real fruit. Give yourself 1 week.
What does this mean for my risk? That turns the visit into a partnership, not a lecture.
Exactly. And if you don't get answers, ask for a referral. Endocrinologists, dietitians, and diabetes educators can offer a second look. Your health is worth the extra effort.
I want to thank you, Dr. Harper, for giving us the truth, the hope, and the action steps we all need. For everyone listening, tomorrow morning, look at your plate with new eyes. Ask, is this fueling my day or setting me up for the crash? Remember, you can start over at any age, and the research, the stories, the science, they all say the same thing. It's never too late.
Absolutely. And Susan, I'll leave you with this. The most powerful medicine is sometimes the simplest change. Your breakfast is a daily choice, a chance to write a new story, one meal at a time.
I love that. And for everyone tuning in, don't forget, next week, we're diving into the hidden signs of bone loss every senior needs to know. You won't want to miss it. If you found this helpful, share the episode, leave us a comment, and remember, you're not just getting information, you're building a community of seniors who refuse to accept just getting old as the answer. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you next time.